Darryl, just will you touch on the squad first of all? Just tell us, give us an indication of how different the team might be on Friday, please.
Uh, yeah, well, obviously in the squad, Renouf, Matty Staunton, and Truey. So it gives us some more options there of what we've looked like a couple of times this season. More selection, more ability to select players in the team. So it's starting to look a little bit healthier. So yeah, uh, it's good. It's a good challenge for me, really, to pick the right team and get that right when I've got more options. Like generally, I've been just picking who's fit. So yeah, this is a little bit different. So I think for players as well, a challenge of being consistent and putting themselves forward to be in the team is it's going to be interesting. Hopefully, we can keep people fit.
With Matty, I think he's been out for a fair while, hasn't he? Do you have to be conscious of that as you bring him back?
Yeah, I think from a minutes perspective, then just have to gauge it. He's an 80-minute player generally, but whether he can do that tomorrow, we'll wait and see. But we'll have a rotation set up that we know exactly what we're going to do there. He's been great. He's trained well. He looks good. Looks harmful. So yeah, looking forward to seeing him play again.
And on Tom Johnston and Ollie Pratt, are their injuries proving more troublesome than initially thought?
So Ollie Pratt's not too far away. Tom went to see a specialist yesterday just to get a sort of diagnosis on something that's sort of just reared up, and he's been in a fair bit of pain. So, well, I'm hopeful it's not going to be anything too major, but I haven't got anything like super specific at the moment. So, I think I should know a bit more today, but he's not available this week. And then we'll see where he's at. Fingers crossed, he'll start to get back to fitness. But at the moment, I haven't really got any timescales on that.
Are you dreaming of the moment when you'll be able to put out your first choice 17 this year?
Yeah, every coach does, don't they? I mean, how often it happens. And we haven't been able to do that this year. So, but it'd be pretty good if we could do it. If we can do it towards the business end of the season, it'd be awesome.
Will you just talk to us about the new signing that was announced this week? Trey Lalesio?
Yeah.
What can you tell us about him apart from how you pronounce his name?
Yeah, look, it's typical of what we've been doing really in the Australian market is looking for players who we think fit our mold and the way that we want to play. And Trey came up. We spent a lot of time watching him, talking to him, and then yeah, we decided that he was the right kind of player. He reminds me a little bit of Tom Amon, a similar sort of player to him. So, yeah, well, we feel like he'd be perfect for us. Real goer in the middle unit, both sides of the ball. He's got high energy, high work rate. So, looking forward, obviously, he's next season. So we're really confident with what we've got this year. But I think he's a great addition.
If he turns into a Tom Amon, you'll be pretty happy. If he turns into another Kais Attili, you'll be pretty happy as well, won't you?
Yeah, I think we've got a decent strike rate at the moment of players from Australia. Caius has come over and nobody really knew anything about him, and he's gone real well once he's got fit. He's an explosive player. And you say the same about Kai and Caleb and Isaiah. I think they've all done really well.
And Renouf has been linked with Cass. Is Trey effectively a replacement for Renouf for Tony?
Uh yeah, I mean, obviously, I won't talk too much about people that are leaving at this point. I just think he's an addition. You need a lot of middle unit players. I think we've seen that this year. So yeah, he'd be class for us, I think. And we there's a bit of talk about people leaving at the moment, but look, for me at the moment, I'm just real focused on getting the job done on a week to week basis, and not worrying too much about the end of the season and who's going to be here and who's not.
Is that you done business wise, or is there still more to come?
Uh, yeah, we won't be far off, but I think we've still got some cap space left, but. At the moment, we're looking like we'll have a pretty good squad next year. But you never say never, do you? There's always some sort of little bits and pieces of business to be done.
I think since we last spoke on the retention front, Locky Warmsley's got a new deal as well. What was you thinking behind that? His strike rate this year in terms of tries and appearances has been right up there, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think he's had a good year. There was a period there where we were a little bit. What do we sign a winger from Australia, or do we feel like Lachlan's done enough? And then I just feel like he's done enough really. And we've got Jaden Myers in our system as well. We signed from Bradford, and I didn't really want to block him off. I wanted to be able to see a young British player come through. So there'll be some competition for places on the wing, but I wanted Jaden to be a part of that, and we got Neil as well, so Neil Tachemba. So we've got a couple of players there who are fighting for that spot when we do get into next year.
What about Huddersfield? I mean, you played them in the Challenge Cup, but it's round 19. You're getting the first sight of Huddersfield in Super League, which is absolutely bizarre. What do you expect from them, and how much do you want to see a response from last week?
Yeah, obviously disappointed last week, but that's gone now. It's just got to move on. I think they've improved. They got some players back. Obviously, they signed Frawley from Leeds, um, and they look dangerous. Flanagan's been going pretty well. Potentially, Evalds comes back in this week, and yeah, they're challenging. Lollia's doing the same sort of stuff that he always does. He's pretty tricky and. They've they've been pretty good. I thought. I mean, they had a chance to go 16-0 up against Wigan last week. Flanagan probably scores that try with that little trick play that they've got, and they're dangerous. I think that we can't be doing anything other than looking at ourselves and our best performance. Because I think if you're anything like not there in terms of your mentality, then I just think you get beaten. We saw that last week in the second half. You just can't afford to switch off. I just think everybody can beat everybody in this comp. I mean, Salford won a game last week. They've been finding things tough, but yeah, for us, just focus on what we're doing. We know it'll be a tough challenge, and Huddersfield have really improved, so yeah, we're really conscious of that.
Just lastly for me, can you tell us whether you got in trouble for what you said last week after the whole game?
Oh yeah, I've got to put some submissions in for what was said, which I just completely disagree with. But we'll wait and see.
I know you're not dwelling on last week too much, but when you last played over in Hull against Torquay, you said not to let that second half rattle. And have you had to change your messaging after last week, given what happened over
Yeah,
there?
yeah, a little bit harsher this week. In our review, then I think there's been a response, and ultimately that's what it's all about. You don't get everything right. Games, opposition sometimes too good for you, or your attitude's not in the right place. I just felt like we just fell off a cliff a little bit there. A couple of different reasons why we lost that game, but yeah, ultimately I'm looking for a response this week, and that's where it's at. You play every week in Super League, and it goes from highs of winning games to the lows of losing, and you've got to try and keep it balanced. And I think our review was pretty balanced. Boys spoke a lot, and ultimately they're playing the game. They know what is and isn't good enough, and they were pretty good in review. So yeah, look, I think we're in a good place to bounce back this week.
Is it quite challenging as a coach getting your messaging right at this time of year when the margins get finer and the pressure goes up that little bit more?
Well, it's always key getting your messaging right, whether you're winning games or losing games. Being consistent is a big challenge for teams and for coaches. And yeah, I think we've been pretty good with our messaging so far this year. And I think we've handled this one pretty well. The boys have been really good in the way that they've spoken, the way that they've got onto the training field this week. I think there's been a level of intensity that I've been really pleased with.
Yeah. Is it another challenge as well when you perhaps play a team that doesn't have anything to play for? Like I mentioned, the pressure's going up, isn't it, now in the playoff race?
Yeah, I think so. But I don't. I think teams. teams always turn up, don't they? I just don't think we can worry about that too much. It's just us, just focus on us and our performance levels and how we apply ourselves. If we get that right, then I'd be pretty confident, whoever we play, that we're in a good place. But last week in the second half, we dropped off that a little bit, and the result was there for all to see. So, look, we know what we've got to do, and this is a pretty important game for us. It's pretty tight there down at the bottom end of the six, and we know what we need to do.
Yeah, because you've got one more game, haven't you, after this week, and then you get a week off before the running. Do you really want to attack these two games now and get in a good spot going into those last 7 rounds?
Yeah, absolutely. I think every game's going to be pivotal now. I think for the teams that are sort of around that 6, 7, and 8. I think they're the pivotal positions at the moment, and we've got to be good enough. We've got to be good enough to go and challenge for that spot, which I think we are. We've got to show it every week.
Too bad. You mentioned Salford's win earlier. What did you make of how Ollie contributed to that win?
Yeah, really good. I thought. Yeah, I'm just going to go through his clips with him now after this. After I've had something to eat. So yeah, I thought he did well. He kicked really well. Obviously, it was tough for him. He'd only just gone into practice with him last week, and he's coming back from injury as well. So I thought he handled it pretty well. His kicking game was good. He did some smart things with it with the ball. And just he'll be pleased to get back out there. So yeah, I thought he was good.
Have you thought yet about what you'll do as and when you have all of your halves available? Touch wood.
Yeah, well, that's something we've got to work through. I mean, it comes down to form really, and for Ollie, he's just looking to get back playing and do the best he can and force his way into our team, which is I think that's a challenge for a few players, to be honest. If everybody's fit, then who you selecting, who's playing the best, who's right for given games, any given game, and yeah, that's a challenge for coaches, challenge for players. They've got to do the job to get themselves back in and around the team.
Yeah, a big week possibly then for Jake coming back in and Mason.
Yeah, well, they're always a big week for halfbacks, isn't it? They're important cog in the team's wheels, and they'll both be looking to play well. True is, they were looking to play consistently. I would say that's the most important thing for him at the minute, is just get back playing consistently, get into a bit of a groove, and he's got massive respect from everybody at the club and the things he can do. So that's the most important thing for him, getting back playing every week.
I guess, how do you see the race for the top six now? Do you think you're competing for that sixth spot, or the other five sort of set in stone?
Well, you never know, really. It looks that way points wise, but there's plenty of points to shoot for. So, I yeah, to be honest, I'm not really worrying too in depth about it. I just think for us, it's just play consistently well. Hopefully we can get a consistent team out there, and then we'll just keep taking it week to week, and we're in and amongst it at the moment, but I think the team that can string some consistent performances together and really sort of put some points on the boards, they're going to be the team. So I'm not worrying about it too much. I just think for us, just be consistent and focus on what we're doing. Really, I think rather than look at the table, we always look at it from time to time and talk about it, but ultimately you can't do anything about it if you're not winning games.
At what point do you start looking at that table? Then obviously 9 rounds left now. At what point do you look at it and go, "Oh, we need this many wins to get in"?
I think as coaches, a bit more than players, I think the players don't worry about it too much. I think we know what we've got to do, but that can change depending on which team makes the best run for it, and for us is just focus on every week. We'll as coaches, for me particularly, I'm always looking at it and thinking what are the permutations and what do we need to do. I don't always talk to the players about them. That's just every now and again, really, if I feel it's going to help them.
And just lastly, then, I know you don't want to talk too much about the sort of comments from last week. Can you just give us an idea of the time frame of when you got notified that you might have to submit whatever it is that you need to submit this week?
No, that was just yesterday, so I'll send something back to the RFL today and then take it from there.